Hey, what's up guys? Jake the Asshole here. I want to dedicate this video to Professor Stick and all of his subscribers. I want to make this video short and direct to the point. I'm not going to say any insults or call anyone any names in this video. I'm going to keep very calm here, and I'm going to teach you guys some science. Yes, Professor Stick and all of your subscribers, you guys need to be taught a lesson in science because Professor Stick lied to you and he said you can see the American flag on the moon and all you need is a really good telescope, and that's what he said. This is actually impossible. I don't know why Professor Stick failed to just look up on Google, as any of you guys can do, which I'm going to go ahead and show you. If you look up on Google and you type in, "Can we see the flag with a telescope?" you will get your answer. And it says, yes, the flag is still on the moon, but you can't see it using a telescope. Let me repeat that part. You can't see it using a telescope. Wow, wasn't that hard to look up? Just a quick Google search and there it was. And I have thousands and thousands of people calling me stupid and saying that they have seen the American flag on the moon. Thousands and thousands of subscribers of Professor Stick are coming over here and claiming they've seen the flag or that you can see the flag, when the very science you claim to believe in says that's impossible. You can actually look this up in several different ways. I challenge every one of Professor Stick's subscribers and Professor Stick himself to get on Google and type this question in word for word. Can you see the moon landing site with a telescope? Funny thing is, what pops up? The answer. It says, as you're well aware, no telescope on Earth can see the leftover descent stages of the Apollo lunar modules or anything else Apollo related. That would include the American flag. Not even the Hubble Space Telescope can discern evidence of the Apollo landings. So basically, all Professor Stick had to do, and all Professor Stick's subscribers had to do, was look this up, and the answer is right there. It says, as you're well aware, no telescope on Earth can see the leftover descent stages of the Apollo lunar modules or anything else Apollo related. It says, as you're well aware, meaning this is common knowledge that most of you should be aware of. If you believe in mainstream science, then you should already know this. So basically, whoever created the cartoon stick figure known as Professor Stick, whoever it is, this person was too lazy to look up on Google whether or not you could see the American flag or anything man-made on the moon with a telescope. The answer is right there. It takes 2 seconds to find this answer. So before all of you Professor Stick subscribers go blindly believing in everything that the cartoon stick figure says, maybe you yourself should look up some of this information and do a little fact-checking of your own. Do your own research. You might find out that the cartoon stick figure doesn't quite know as much as he thinks he knows, and he's not quite as smart as he thinks he is. So at this point, I've proven Professor Stick wrong 100% beyond a shadow of a doubt, and I did it very easily with a 2-second Google search. The thing is Professor Stick is so intellectually dishonest, he will never admit that he's wrong. Even though I proved him wrong already in my last video, I proved him wrong again in this video very easily with a simple Google search, yet he won't admit he's wrong because he's intellectually dishonest. And I want to show you the level of his dishonesty. Here's the entire argument from beginning to end. Hey y'all, I got a question. How is it that we're supposedly looking at an image from 300 million trillion miles away and or 55 million light years away, how is it we're even looking at this image? Meanwhile, we're unable to zoom in on the American flag on the moon, which is only 238,000 miles away.
You can zoom in and see the flag on the moon. You just need a really good telescope, which I don't believe is sold commercially. Yeah, literally nothing else to say here.
Wrong! Oh, and boy, are you wrong this time. In fact, I'm gonna rub this one in real good so that this one stings for a long, long time there, Professor Dipshit. Do you know that there is no telescope on Earth, not only telescopes commercially sold, but no telescope on Earth that you can look through and see anything man-made on the moon? You cannot see the American flag, you cannot see the rovers, you cannot see the leftover bases of the lunar modules. You can't see any equipment or anything man-made on the moon at all looking through any telescope on Earth. You actually lied to your subscribers right there, and you're very dishonest. So now let me go ahead and tell them the truth. Usually you're pretty good about reading Google word for word, verbatim. Had you went to the right websites, you could have actually read for yourself that those images that you posted, supposedly of the lunar module bases and the rovers and the flag on the moon, yeah, those images come from NASA. They say that those images were taken by a telescope orbiting the moon, the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter. So let me ask you this, Professor Dipshit. Have you went orbiting the moon inside that telescope and looked through that telescope while it was orbiting the moon? No, you didn't. So what you did do was take NASA's image. The same people who say they went to the moon are the ones who give you the image, who say they obtain the image with the telescope they say that's orbiting the moon. So my point stands, Professor Dipshit. You can't see anything man-made on the moon, including the American flag, with any telescope on Earth whatsoever. Your eyes will never see anything man-made on the moon with any telescope. You have to blindly accept these images, like the one on the screen, which come from NASA. The same liars who lied about going to the moon are the ones who give you these images, which you have to blindly accept. Okay, so that is my original argument from my last video, Professor Stick versus Jake the Asshole. My argument is 100% factual. I did not say anything wrong. Everything I said was 100% true and accurate. Now here's where the intellectual dishonesty comes in on Professor Stick's part. Watch and listen carefully as Professor Stick actually edits out large portions of my arguments. He edits out entire chunks of my strongest arguments to make my strongest arguments appear to be weak and incomplete. Also, he asks deflecting questions without actually addressing the fact that I proved him wrong. Watch and learn.
You can zoom in and see the flag on the moon. You just need a really good telescope, which I don't believe is sold commercially. Yeah, literally nothing else to say here.
Wrong! Do you know that there is no telescope on Earth, not only telescopes commercially sold, but no telescope on Earth that you can look through and see anything man-made on the moon?
You're making a claim that can't be substantiated. How exactly do you know that there isn't a single telescope that could see the flag on the moon? Have you literally checked every single telescope on Earth? Because I highly doubt that.
So as you just saw, Professor Stick edited out a huge portion of my argument, so his audience never gets to hear me fully explain my arguments because he cuts me off and he edits it in such a way that my arguments are left incomplete, and so his audience never gets to hear me fully explain why he's wrong. And rather than him admitting that he's wrong, because he's totally wrong, he actually doubles down on his ignorance and says, Jake, that claim can't be substantiated. Have you looked through all the telescopes in the world to possibly know that you can't see the flag? I don't have to do that because in 2 seconds I can Google it. And do you remember what it says? Let's read it one more time. It says, as you're well aware, no telescope on Earth can see the leftover descent stages of the Apollo lunar modules or anything else Apollo related. That includes the American flag, Professor Stick. Not even the Hubble Space Telescope can discern evidence of the Apollo landings. So, that's why I don't have to go look through every telescope in the world, which is an absolutely ridiculous request. Why would I need to look through every Walmart brand beginner telescope when I know already I'm not going to be able to see anything man-made on the moon? If NASA and all the government agencies are admitting that there's no telescope on Earth that you can see anything man-made, why would I trouble myself by looking through every telescope in the world? That's really a ridiculous argument. And furthermore, the fact that you can't see anything man-made on the moon supports my argument perfectly that no one ever landed on the moon to begin with. The reason you can't see anything man-made on the moon with any telescope on Earth is because there's nothing man-made on the moon, because no one ever landed on the moon, no men ever walked upon it. So the whole notion of not being able to see the flag with any telescope makes perfect sense to me, and it supports my argument. The only images you can find supposedly of the flag on the moon come from the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter, which is supposedly orbiting the moon only 31 miles away from the moon, and NASA owns that telescope, aka the government. You can't look through that telescope. Professor Stick can't look through that telescope. None of us can look through that telescope. So you have to blindly trust the government that those images are real. So my point stands. The only thing worse than Professor Stick's intellectual dishonesty is the fact that so many of his subscribers are actually blindly believing him when he gives them false information. It's actually quite dangerous when you see hundreds of thousands of people blindly following a cartoon stick figure who's giving them wrong information. And then you see his subscribers are parroting the wrong information over and over and over again. Let me go ahead and show you some of the things that Professor Stick's subscribers have been saying to me for the last 2 weeks. Adam Sundler says, well, you can see the American flag with a very sophisticated telescope. Oh, you mean the sophisticated telescope that's orbiting the moon that the government owns that you can't see through and don't have access to? You mean that sophisticated telescope? Because, as I've already proven, there are no Earth telescopes that are quite sophisticated enough to see anything man-made on the moon. So you have to blindly trust NASA's images. And again, you won't ever see anything man-made on the moon with your own eyes through any telescope here on Earth. Got that, Adam Sundler? Got that, Professor Stick? Got that, Professor Stick subscribers? Oh, but let's continue. King Diodius says, I have actually seen the American flag as well as the rover from Earth using a telescope in my high school astronomy class. Since when have you not been able to see these things? So like I already proved to you guys before, mainstream science says it's impossible to see the flag or anything man-made on the moon with any telescope here on Earth. Yet this guy's claiming he has seen it in his high school class with a high school telescope. So at this point, is this guy just making this up to confirm his own bias? Or does he actually believe he's seen that stuff? That's what's scary. Like I said, I don't know what's more sad, Professor Stick tricking people into believing they can see the flag on the moon, or that some of his subscribers are so far gone that they actually believe they've already seen the American flag on the moon with their home telescope or a high school telescope, when the very science they claim to believe in says that's impossible. I don't know about you guys, but this makes you look really dumb. So for all of you Professor Stick subscribers who come over here and want to talk about how stupid I am, just look at these statements that you guys are making. And look how many people hit the thumbs up button on that statement. That's 200 people who agreed with that guy. That's scary. And the thing about Professor Stick's subscribers is their arguments are all over the map. One guy will claim he saw the flag on the moon with his high school telescope, and then the next guy will claim you can't see the flag on the moon because it eroded away. Like, check this guy out. Dylan Costo says, "I'll make it real easy for you. We don't photograph the moon in detail because 1, we already know most about the moon. 2, the flag and equipment has eroded away because of solar radiation. And last, large observatories are preoccupied with important tasks like these. There are many more reasons, but I get the feeling you would not understand." Oh, well, that makes perfect sense. I'm glad you made it easy for me. So for those of you having trouble following along, what Dylan is saying is that we don't photograph the moon in detail because 1, we already know most about the moon, which makes perfect sense. You don't want to have to go photographing things in detail if you already know most about them. And this doesn't just apply to the moon, this applies to everything. Like, I know most about baseball, so I'm not going to take detailed photographs if I go to a baseball game because I already know most about baseball. So anything that you know most about, you don't have to take detailed pictures of that thing because you already know most about it. Makes perfect sense. Oh, and 2, the flag and the equipment on the moon, apparently according to Dylan, you can't see it because it eroded away. That's right, the flag and the equipment has eroded away because of solar radiation. So all the mainstream science websites, including NASA, claim that the American flag is indeed still standing on the moon and that the lunar module bases and the rovers are also there on the moon. Yet this guy is claiming that stuff is no longer on the moon because it got eroded away by solar radiation. So even though there's no mainstream science websites that back up what this guy's saying, he still believes what he's saying, and there are other people who believe what he's saying hitting the thumbs up button. So look at these answers that Professor Stick's subscribers are giving. So for those of you who may be subscribers to Professor Stick's channel, if you've made it this far in this video and you're still watching now, well, perhaps there's hope for you yet. I know a lot of you guys are just going to leave me disparaging comments down below and you're going to mash that thumbs down button. That's not going to change the fact that I'm right and Professor Stick is wrong. Whether you like me or not, it doesn't change the fact that I'm right and Professor Stick is wrong. I know it's going to be a tough pill for a lot of you to swallow, that the supposed stupid flat earther guy is the same guy who just taught you all a lesson in science. But that's exactly what happened here today in this video. I proved Professor Stick wrong in my last video, and I proved him wrong in this video beyond a shadow of a doubt. And if he doesn't admit it, then you all will know that he is intellectually dishonest. So over the next few days, we'll see whether or not Professor Stick chooses to admit he's wrong or whether he's going to triple down on his ignorance. I expect him to triple down on ignorance, possibly cut up my statements and make another video about me misrepresenting me. I expect no less. I expect my videos are going to be buried by YouTube, and I expect his videos are going to be optimized and seen by way more people. but it's the quality of the content that counts. I'm the guy that told you the truth. Remember that. He's the one that told you a lie. Remember that. This has been just another opinion and facts from Jake the Asshole. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Peace.